decision to do away with this project sooner than later would be my preference.
All right, we're done with that item. 5, review and approve changes to the board handbook, resolution 2024-45.
Thank you. There were 2 changes made to the board policy manual pursuant to direction given to staff at the last board meeting. The first was to ensure that the agendas have the page numbering that is provided in the packets that are given to the board in the agenda that is posted to the public as well. And so that was included. And the second was a policy related to board member reprimand, which was requested by 2 board members at the last meeting as well. And so what we have is a red line board policy and a proposed resolution should the board move forward with adopting these changes. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, I have a question. What was red line? Because I don't see any red lines.
I'm looking for the page for you right now.
So I got 250, 251, so it was K, 252. And then the original one is 187 through 187.
So on page 187, doesn't look like it's redlined, but it's section K in its entirety. Yeah, it's not showing redline.
Oh, I apologize. There should have been a red line version included.
Yeah, we have it, I'm not sure why it's not attached. Well, there's 2 different ones in here, but I'm not sure why it's not attached.
Why it would show red,
Yeah.
So it is chapter 9, subsection CA4 was added for the agenda numbering, and chapter 12K was added in its entirety for the official's disciplinary procedure.
So what was the change? Because I was kind of reading them and they look like they're the same.
So for chapter 12K, there's a change. That is an entirely new section.
So it looks like in the board packet, for some reason, you ended up with 2 clean copies. I'm not sure, because she's looking online and it's showing the correct one, so I'm not sure what happened. But if you look at page 187, or actually 250, section K in its entirety, officials disciplinary procedure, is what was added.
Additionally, the addition to chapter 9 for the page numbering is all brand new too. So there wasn't any language that was changed. There was additions to the board policy.
So is K a complete?
Chapter 12, so yeah, subdivision K.
So K is all brand new?
All brand new, that's correct.
Okay. All right. 'Cause I thought we had the old version and then the new. The K is completely new.
Yes, that's correct.
So there was nothing about discipline prior to this?
There was reference to reprimand as far as violating the policies, but there was no specification for a process or what that is or any kind of teeth to that reprimand. And that was discussed at the last meeting when we did the censure.
Well, how could you censor someone if it wasn't in the board policy?
You can always, a legislative body can legally censure anyone, but without any kind of protocol or specified pre-noticed reprimand, it doesn't mean anything. It's largely ceremonial. And so I discussed this at the last meeting, and subsequent to that discussion, there was a request to revise the policy manual in order to update it so that a reprimand did actually have some teeth to it and an actual protocol.
I'd like to make a motion
we table this item until we get a red line copy. We just table it until we get a red line copy.
We can definitely do that.
We need to take public comment before we take the board action.
Oh, okay.
I think our program we used converted it, because I'm seeing it here, but I don't know why they do that.
I think it's gonna save this. Gotta change it or whatever.
You have any comment?
Well,
So I'm sure these ones.
it is, the part that you're saying is added is all okay, but I'm not sure. You said that we had some censorship information in here before, and what is that under?
There was nothing specifically referring to censorship. There is various references to board members violating the policy, but with no actual reference to what occurs if a board member does violate the policy.
Okay.
So where was that in the current? You got the,
One second.
That's the thing, this is the exact same one as in Granicus. But it looks like Granicus converted it.
I mean, I do have a few little questions as to how this is, how the process would happen, because you're saying here, any director may submit a request to consider disciplinary action of another director. So you're not having a vote, you're just having one director?
Well, it's a request, and then there's a subsequent protocol to the board. The board does actually have to vote on the action to be taken. There's a request, there's a notice to the board member, there's an opportunity for that board member to rebut whatever's occurring. This is the very first draft of this policy, so it is absolutely, I mean, I encourage you to look at it if there is something that you don't like in there or some other process that you would like to occur that is up for discussion. This is the first review, so.
Okay, well, the other thing that I'm reading here too is that you have admonishment. It's appropriate for allegations of a violation of law, reprimand. So and then censor, but you're not having like time or how long they're censored for, or is it the full meeting? Is it into the next meeting? Is it, it's like
There's no censorship, it's a censure, so it's different, and it's the time frame and the specific reprimands that's associated with it. You can't define that in here because it's going to depend on the nature of the reprimand, and so that's why that we included varying levels so that it wasn't just straight up. You get censured if you don't follow the policy. There's admonishment, there's warning, so it's varying levels, and it's hard to put specifications like that in a policy like this where you don't necessarily know the potential for the reprimand requests that are going to come in from other board members.
okay. Well, I guess I'd have to look it over. That's what my problem was. I couldn't find it, and when I'm going through and reading and I didn't know which the new section was or what had been edited. So I didn't have a chance to really dive into this well. So. That was my fault.
I would not suggest any action on this item if none of you had an opportunity to review it. I mean, this is a big change in your policy. So, if you haven't looked at it, I would recommend it gets tabled.
Yeah, and I fixed the process all. They converted it, sorry.
Yeah, or just, highlighted or something like that.
Well, there's a way of doing it, and our system converted it into
Oh.
PDF, so now I'm gonna force it not to,
Yeah,
so my apologies.
I'd like to table until October.
So we have a motion by Director Davis.
Oh, we still need public comment.
I am still need.
Oh, public comment.
Yes, thank you. Greg Riddle. So I'm looking around the room and I see at least 8 or 9 laptops. Once in a while we have a big screen that's over here where the public can see what the heck's going on. There's very few people that are ever here in the public. We can't download 150 pages every time we have a meeting. You guys have it on the internet, where we have to print out our own stuff. This is unacceptable. You should have this stuff on a screen here, where we can see what you're looking at, what you're talking about, and what's going on. I appreciate all of you, everybody that's been on this board. I have nothing against anybody. But we have a few people that are no longer going to be here. We have new people coming on. And here we are at the end of this term, or whatever you want to call it, and new people are going on, and we're trying to create an issue for whatever reason. I don't know why. We need to move on with business that's going to get stuff done in the community and in the county and other things, and forget about all this other stuff. Whoever's leaving is leaving, whoever's coming on is coming on. There's new things that are gonna happen. We need to have a screen here or documents where we can follow what's going on in this board meeting without, why should I have to print every month, every C.S.D, everything meeting I go to 150 pages of stuff to follow what's going on. This is ridiculous. This shouldn't even happen. Like I said, I appreciate everybody's involvement. I appreciate everybody's commitment. I appreciate everybody looking out for their community. I appreciate all this. I look out for my community just like you guys look out for your community. But we need to move past certain things and conduct business in a certain way without, I don't really know what we're trying to do or what we do. Thank you.
Any other public comment? If not, I move the table until October.
Well, I got a motion on the floor by Director Davis first, I just need a second.
Well, we're just tabling the chapter 12K, right? We can approve the chapter C, right?
I would recommend that we don't approve either
Yeah, call it back.
until we provide the red line for both.
So do I get a second for Director Davis' motion to table it till next meeting?
I'll second.
Second, Baker? Okay. Director Gregory?
yes.
Director Davis?
Yes.
Director Baker?
Yes.
Director Stein?
Yes.
Passes 4-0 with 1 absent. It'll be back up. The table passes.
We
Yes.
didn't have to vote.
Ah,
Overachiever.
yes. Well, I'm flustered that that was not in there, I'm sorry.
It'll be tabled to October.
Moving on. Thank you, Christina. Accept Rose Foundation grant for $47,000, resolution 2024-46.
So this item is to accept a grant from the Rose Foundation in the amount of $47,000 for monitoring equipment for all our existing wells, the monitoring wells at the wastewater treatment plant, and the future wells that are part of the development across the river. This is a grant that's processed through the Rose Foundation, but it is ultimately from state revolving fund through the state water board. So it's similar funds to what we've been receiving. This opportunity came up through a contact that we have as part of the Paso Basin Cooperative Committee, who was nice enough to share it with us, and obviously we were awarded. Again, this is basically to install well level monitoring and new water meters at all the well sites, including the future well sites across the river. This project, other than district time, this project to install these will be covered by this grant. They're aside from and district labor, all the outside costs are paid for by the grant.
That it? Okay.
Who's the Rose Foundation?
They are, I don't know really how to describe them. They're kind of a charity that provides funding for access to water, access to safe housing, access and mitigation for other basic necessities. They're a large percentage of what they've awarded grants for is for safe water, for fixing water problems and getting access to water.
Is there any strings attached?
No.
Is there any, who receives the information on, who receives the results from
So the data
yes?
The data would be ours. As a deliverable, we do give them data showing that what you put in is working and we're gathering data. But that's one time at the end of the grant period.
Okay.
This would enable us to have more data and more real-time data on our well levels and what our wells are doing. Because we're nice, we would share that with the Paso Basin Committee and give them more information about what our wells are doing. It's for the district. It's not necessarily for everybody else, but we would share that as a mutual benefit to the basin in general.
Okay, and this is only to monitor the C.S.D. wells, not any private wells in the C.S.D.
Right. So it would be, immediately would be the 3 district wells and the 2 monitoring wells at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
Once the development at the airport is developed, those wells will be added. So the equipment is included in here for that monitoring equipment.
Okay.
But there is no private wells included in this.
Okay, are we going to be owning those wells?
We will own those wells.
Oh, we will, okay. All right, very good. Okay, that's all I had.
Yeah, so what precisely are we monitoring? Just the level, water level, or?
So 2 things, we'll monitor the amount of water pumped to the system, and the amount of water pumped to waste. And aside from flows, we'll measure real-time ground to water table. So while it's pumping, while it's at rest, we'll have 24-hour access to what the water tables are doing. So we'll have not only the reaction of pumping our individual wells, but we'll have the reaction of pumping wells together or far away wells, whatever. Every bit of information we'll get will help us determine future well locations and whether or not we need to relocate one or all of our wells.
I was right, you said that in terms of the installation of the equipment, is that something that we can do or that's outside and the grant will cover that?
So the grant will cover the small percentage of time that we need a consultant to help integrate it, but the general installation would be done by the district with our labor.
Okay, we can do that in-house, okay. Now, would the public have access to this information too?
That would be up to the board. It would be provided to PBCC as data to those wells, but specific data for those wells may not be made available to the public. If the board wishes to do so, then it can. I mean, they are public wells, technically.
Thank you.
Reverend Davis?
Yeah, I read that, and it says on there we have to match that $47,000 grant. That's what it said on the page with it, I think.
Well, if it did, that's an error.
Yeah.
If you know where that is, we can look at that, make sure.
It should be
in the resolution?
Well, 265 or 266,
265 is a resolution.
yeah.
Now in 266, there is where it says increase revenue account and then increase expense, so it's not a match, maybe that's what you're looking at.
Okay, well, yeah, I was looking at something, I thought it was matching.
Yeah, so in the resolution, it does have two line items. Both are to account for these funds, to clearly account for what was spent so that we can provide that information to the grant, which is part of our requirement. But there is no match, it is just $47,000 to the district for that specific equipment.
Okay, even though it's a grant, I mean, that's fine, but we're already capable of doing everything. I mean, on these wells and everything, you turn in reports every month, you know, in the packet, the static level, gallons per minute, you know, aren't you already monitoring these wells?
So we're going out on average once a month and gathering that data manually.
Right.
This will provide the equipment to have real-time data 24 hours a day. So when we go out, let's say we went out right now and went out and measured well 4 to see what the water table was. I couldn't tell you with a huge degree of certainty when that well shut off. If that well's been off long enough to actually measure a static, like a true static level. Whereas this equipment will measure it 24 hours a day. So you can pick where on that data is the true static, where on that data is the true pumping level, and you can graph that over time and see if it's changing. Right now, when we go out, unless we specifically turn the well off and leave it off for days and days, you can't guarantee that it's going to be the static level. And we don't know for certain that our operation of other wells doesn't affect our own neighboring wells, or the operation of a well on the terrace near our well on the terrace isn't affected. So this will give us the equipment to get real-time monitoring, to get that data gathering going, so we know for certain what's happening in our part of the basin, specifically in our district.
Yeah, I understand that. But you don't need to turn the well off for 2 hours or 2 days to find out when the static water's gonna come back up.
Well, it varies from well to well. Some wells, you could be off for 10 minutes and it'll be back to the static level. Some wells, depending on time of year, it might be a day, it might be 2 days.
Are you done? Are you done? Public comment?
Couple of questions. Real quick, so are these like well intel systems is what you're talking about? And does that grant cover the cost? You said 3 wells, I believe, so that grant covers the cost for all 3? And then would this information be made available to the general basin monitoring database for public knowledge? And also, I don't even know if these wells will qualify as monitoring wells for the PVCC group, but if they do, are they on the list? And if they're not on the list, could they be on the list if this equipment's already installed?
Kelly, would you like to answer that? Did you have public comment? What do you do?
Quick question, thank you, Board. Yeah, the real-time data. So, what Murray was saying, so you have 3 district wells, you have 2 monitoring wells, and yeah, if this information is gonna be, okay, both me and Murray were on the, technical advisory committee for expanded monitoring over the whole basin. So we spent a year. We've been waiting for over a year and a half for monitoring to take place. So whatever gives us more monitoring. We're not trying to do secret agent stuff or tell anybody what's doing what. It's telling us water levels. All we're trying to do is get water levels throughout our community. But everybody wants to play hide and seek. Where's the Easter egg? Whatever. How about we just say what's happening? And if this information will tell us that, and you guys can get money to do that, I'm all for it. I don't really care. But I'm like, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to get the information that's going to benefit the basin? If everybody's just worried about benefiting themselves, then this whole thing we're doing with Sigma and everything else doesn't really matter. Thank you.
Tell me what you'd like to answer this question.
So, I thought I mentioned it, but maybe I didn't. So this grant would cover all three of our district wells with both flow meters and well sounding equipment. Each well is slightly different, so the equipment is slightly different for each well. It's not necessarily aligned with the county's equipment, but it's equipment that will work with our systems. And again, the wells that come online for the development across the river would be outfitted as well and become part of our system. The data that we collect today for well levels is collected by the county and incorporated into the data that the PVCC uses, the county uses as part of the flood control district for well level monitoring. Although this data may not be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as some of the future monitoring might be from the county monitoring network, the data could be available to the PVCC via Excel or other format that they can download and incorporate into their system. The proposal isn't to provide real-time data to the county or anybody directly, but the data would be available.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this time, does anybody have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-46.
I'll second.
A motion on the floor by Director Baker, Resolution 2024-46, to accept the Rose Foundation grant for $47,000, seconded by Director Gregory. Have a vote. Director Davis?
Yes.
Director Baker?
Yes.
Director Gregory?
Yes.
Director Swine?
Yes.
4-0 with 1 absent. Passes.
This time we'll adjourn to the San Miguel Community Services District Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And we're going to have that 20-minute presentation first.
What is that time?
Before abstaining, are we not in this?
No.
No first.
No, we're going to go to the DSA.
To the other.
Okay, the time?
Time is 8:07.
All right, so we'll begin the presentation. Mr. Greenwald, you gentlemen have something? So where's your screen so we can see all the information you're gonna...
I'm the screen.
Oh, you're the screen.
Watch me.
I just was waiting, for you to put that presentation on. Because we have to print it out, it's gonna be a lot of information.
Just watch me.
Gonna kill a tree here.
You won't be able to keep up. Anyway, thanks for, I want my younger buddy to go first. So, anyway, thank you guys for doing this. I think it'll be interesting. And after last night's meeting at the PVC that went for 4.5 hours, can't wait to hear Director Berkeley's report on that. It was interesting. So anyway, I gave each of you a handout with several pages. So let me just breeze through that, and you can take it from there. I had one question. Did you all get a copy of the PVC agenda package that was should have been posted and also given to all the GSA members. Did you get that? It's like 150 pages.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
The packet was emailed to every record.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's,
it is.
okay, that's what I was.
Yeah,
Yes.
I meant,
I didn't know.
I figured
what
the
you were talking
email.
about. All right.
Okay,
Yes.
so everything I gave you, well, not everything, but almost is in that information. So, anyway, let's start from on that packet. So this was only a reminder of section 106. I told you about it before. It basically says domestic wells are the first priority. This is water code. And second priority is ag. And you've heard that I'm all about domestic shallow wells and all the problems with that. So I just wanted to give you that, put it on your wall or whatever.
Oh, it's coming down.
So the first thing I wanted to mention, the next thing in this packet is a 3-page document. And this is a checklist of TBCC MOA items, and the MOA is actually the governing document. So what this is a checklist of basically the provisions in that governing document that are not being followed. So, and some of these are important, and the gist I get in talking, meeting with you folks and also with other GSA people is that a lot of the information that should be provided to every GSA board is not getting provided. So I'm going to go through this real quick, and some of this you've heard from me already, but one is that annual budgets have to be approved before, and they have to be approved by all GSA members, including you guys. And they have to develop records of expenditures, and that has been not done for the most part. Second item is development of a stakeholder participation plan that includes public outreach and so on. All of that has not been done. The next item is that PBC is considered a Brown Act, but as I mentioned before, they have no authority or powers to do anything. It's each individual GSA board, if you're one of 5, that needs to approve whatever has been done. And last night, and I'll go over this in a minute, that there were several items that the PBC voted on, but I believe that you guys probably have not voted on, and I'm sure other GSAs haven't voted on.